Noise! Well, welcome party people to my channel, Broken Spokes, where I'm trying to take you along for the ride. Today's video, we're going to be going over part 2 of Project 12. Now, if you're wondering what the heck Project 12 is, there's a link to part 1 in the description above. The overall gist of it is, there's a big segment around here, it's called The Goods. My best time is 13 minutes. I'm challenging myself to go sub 12. Today's bike video is I'm going to be going over how I optimize all of this, because after a few minutes, my hands blow up, my arms and shoulders get fatigued, and my lower back is just blown up. For what can I do here that'll make me more comfortable out there? All right, so let's get after it.
I love this trail. Damn. And now it's time for ice cream.
Neither you nor I should be worried at all about a nagging discomfort as we're out for a ride. Having a bad experience because your hands are hurting, that's not cool. We can't do that. And so my goal with this was to actually just make it so comfortable that I did not have any of that hand fatigue, arm pump, elbow fatigue, anything like that. And I think I found it. Now I'm going to go through the major things that I did in order to achieve that, so that you can maybe play around with it in the garage and improve your trail riding experience. Setup, I think there are 4 main things you should focus on. Handlebars, levers, stem, grips. All of those added together.
Nirvana.
The beautiful thing about doing this optimization is that it's relatively cheap and or free. I was largely inspired by a video put out by a guy named Aaron Gwynn, thumbnail should be up here, where he talks about how to optimize his setup up here. The biggest thing that I took away from that was the actual roll of the handlebars. When I looked at my grips, where I was actually wearing on the grips, it was because my handlebars were too far up this way and I wasn't in a nice comfortable position. So I ended up actually rolling my handlebars back, which actually put the sweep of the handlebars in line with the fork, and that noticeably cut down on a lot of the chatter. The second thing that he really goes into is the actual brake levers. So I've always been the guy that runs his brakes out as far as he can go. And the reason is that because I've always thought that was kind of a fear mechanism. I didn't ever want to run out of brake and have it hit my fingers or my grips. Truthfully, I love these brakes. Shout out to the Hazel Dominion A4s. And so when I'm running my brakes clear out here, my forearm was unnecessarily tense. But coming back down in here, man, it made a huge difference. I trust these brakes, I know they're gonna stop me, and I know they have enough throw. So I just adjusted them as close as I was comfortable, which went down in here in this range, as opposed to when they were all the way out, and that made my hands so much more relaxed on the trail. The brake levers, the throw did take some getting used to having it pulled in there. It was a little intimidating. After about 10 minutes, I was back up and running, and it was full send from there. Now, handlebar width is for some reason a controversial issue. I am not quite sure why. Your bike setup is entirely your own. Make it do whatever you feel is comfortable. Don't follow trends. Now is how I found my handlebar width. I did the push-up test. I then did the Lee Likes Bikes calculation, and then I cut them down to about there, and then I based where my hands are at on my levers. I actually experimented with moving all of my levers inside, and so that would bring my hands in, and I went into where I was comfortable. I also was paying attention to whether or not I was hitting trees. I noticed I was clipping trees a lot, I was comfortable with the levers in, and so I ended up cutting them down. I'm 5'10", I've got a 6'1" wingspan, and I think I'm running 750 end to end. And so keep in mind, 750 is this measurement right here, It's not the actual bars. The grips I found add about 5 millimeters onto whatever your bar length is. This has ended up being really comfortable for me. I could probably go narrower based on I still have the strength to push out on G-outs, but I'm not clipping trees and I'm comfortable right where I'm at. Do whatever you need to do to get that handlebar width, but I mean, honestly, try experimenting with moving those levers in, seeing if it's comfortable, and then possibly cutting it down. Narrow bars are pretty sweet. The next thing that I really optimized or tried out was this stem. I was, before this, running a 40 millimeter stem. Why was I running this, you might ask? I heard one time that Bryn Atkinson, who corners like a maniac, he said 40 millimeters was the optimal length, so I went ahead and got it. I've been running this thing for about 2 years now, and it's a great stem. I've got no complaints about it. But I recently reached out to a buddy who works at a shop, shout out to Luke at North Division Bikes, and he let me try out his 50 mil stem. After trying it out, it took one ride, and once again, it took me a little bit to get comfortable with it, but as soon as I was comfortable with it, I noticed, oh my gosh, the 50 millimeter stem, I thought it dampened the trail out a little bit so you didn't get nearly so much chatter in the side to side chatter. It pulled me forward and I felt more balanced within the bike. And so when that front wheel kind of slid out a little bit, I was nice and balanced. I was able to really soak it up, and it felt more in control. That thought of going to a 50 mil stem really came about after I got way off the back in one spot and I just couldn't pull myself forward.
Hanging off the back. A little too much.
When it came to this 50 mil stem, I felt just a little bit more forward. The bike felt a little bit more balanced, and honestly, it rails corners like a dream. It doesn't feel nearly as twitchy, and I think 50 mil is right where it's at. The last thing I'm going to say on the stem is that I do think that your stem length and your fork offset might be playing a little bit of an interaction together, and that the longer your stem being longer than your offset might help with the twitchiness of that steering. So I don't know quite yet. I'm kind of musing on that, but something to think about. We've talked about handlebars. We've talked about the stem. We've talked about the levers. The next thing we need to talk about is your grips. These right here are 1-up grips, and I really like them for the thin profile. When it comes to actually gripping the bar, I know some people just death grip the thing, and I would highly recommend you not do that. Grab the bar as lightly as you can possibly grab it. What that means for me is that when I need to grab it, I grab it hard, and then when I know I can relax, I just have my hands resting on it. Grip and let go, and grip and let go, grip and let go. So I tried these recently, and so these are the P&W Loam, and they have these ribs on here. Because I am grabbing it and letting it loose, when I loosen up, my hands do kind of slide around. Is what they ended up doing, I got a big blister right here, and the reason for that was because this material kind of squishes. For me, I don't like a lot of the squishiness here. I like a really tight waffle, like a tight pattern like this. And not only is it a smaller diameter for me to grab, there's nothing to move when I relax my hands. And so as I relax my hands, it's staying there. We don't have this movement like this grip. So I'm a big fan of these. Now, grips are like 30 bucks, and I highly recommend trying a few out. I tried these work great on a trail bike, or I should say something where I'm doing a little less aggressive riding, and so these work great on a smaller bike than this one. These were my old grips. I really like, I liked this waffle pattern, but they get a little old once in a while, and it does feel good to change out your contact points every now and again. So that's something to keep in mind. So here's 30 bucks that you can try. Bars, you can get aluminum ones for 60. You can get carbon ones for like 120 to 140. And then adjusting your levers is totally free. And all of this is a lot cheaper than a several $1,000 new bike. It is hot out here, holy moly. All right, team, I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found something to think about. And if I can give you one thing, it's that don't be afraid to experiment. All of these are fun to optimize, and I think wrenching on your bike is half the fun. So if I missed anything, or if you have any comments, leave them down below. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm having fun trying, and I hope you can get out and ride.
So I think I did that quicker than I've ever done it before. That time felt pretty good. The brakes helped a ton. The handlebars helped a ton. The cockpit was outrageously much better. Everything felt good. If I can keep that level up, maybe push it just a little bit harder, I'll for sure be in the 11 something. We'll see.